we have been following closely what's been happening in Fort McMurray over the last few months. We've tried to stay in touch with the people who are recovering there, going back to their homes, helping to rebuild the community. There are lots of lessons that arise out of this as well. And Glenn McGillivray writes in the Globe and Mail about some of them. He's the managing director of the Institute for Catastrophic Loss Reduction, and he joins us on Ottawa Today. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, good.
Of course, there's a human story here, but there are so many interesting elements to the story and what we can do to prevent these things or reduce the impact of these events in the future. So what are some of the things that we can learn from Fort McMurray?
Well, we did some extensive research. We actually got a researcher in town immediately after the fire when the town was still all locked up, with permission of the province, of course. And he went over a couple of hundred properties, actually. And he determined that the reason why some homes survived in areas that were otherwise completely decimated is because of ember ignition.
Ember ignition.
Right.
So what does that mean?
So I think most people have the perception that a wildfire kind of barrels into town like a bulldozer and just, lights up everything in front of it and causes a huge conflagration. That's not really how it usually plays out. That can happen, but it's pretty rare. What generally happens is embers from the wildfire are caught in the winds and are blown forward of the fire front, sometimes by several kilometers. Those embers can be pieces of bark, it can be leaves, it can be pine cones. And in the case of a really, really big fire like Fort McMurray, they get caught up in its own weather pattern, basically a convective front. Those ashes get blown forward and they land on things that are ignitable, like a dry front lawn, like a flower bed full of mulch or wood chips, or a wood pile next to the home. Or a ignitable roof, that sort of thing, and they catch fire. And when they catch fire, that can lead to the structure catching fire. And once a few structures catch fire, other structures catch fire as a result due to building spread of fire. And then you get what we call an urban conflagration, and that's exactly what happened in Fort McMurray.
So are you saying the distinction between some homes that burned to the ground and others that remained standing came down to something as simple as what materials were in their front yard or backyard?
Absolutely. And what we say is it's all about what's in the yard. It's kind of hard to imagine, but I mean, we know that if you throw a lit cigarette into a garbage bin full of paper, it's going to catch fire.
Yeah.
Imagine thousands or maybe millions of embers hitting ignitable substances. And it can be like an umbrella, a patio umbrella. It can be a woodshed next to your house, a wood fence attached to your home. It even gets down to the plants that you select for your landscaping. If you have ignitable plants right next to the home, particularly next to a window, the home can be very vulnerable.
So what advice do you have then for people if they, obviously we're not thinking on any given day that a wildfire is going to spread through our neighborhood, but are there lessons from this that everyday homeowners should be applying to their homes?
Yeah, there are lots of lessons, and most of them are very inexpensive and even free. So first of all, I'd suggest that they check out the FireSmart manual online. So FireSmart is a program that teaches people what to look for on their properties and in their communities to make them safer against wildfire. But I mean, just walk around the house. If you have surplus building materials next to the home, move them away from the home. If you have your wood pile right next to your home, or your barbecue with a propane tank next to your home, get it away from there. If you're even simple things, we've heard of incredible things like brooms and welcome mats on the front of homes that can be very vulnerable to ember ignition.
But where are you supposed to put these things? I mean, if you have a barbecue, you're going to have a propane tank. If you're not going to, I mean, are you saying to people don't have a welcome mat?
Well, I think that's one of the things that if you're evacuating due to a wildfire,
right,
just pick it up and bring it in the house.
Yeah.
Or throw it, throw it away from the home.
Right. Don't leave it where it can be susceptible to an ember landing on it and and it bursting into flames.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, that sort of thing can stay in place until need be, and then you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
I think we're more concerned with the other things like forest litter on the property. So if you live in a wooded area, keep it clean of pine needles, of leaves, branches that have fallen, that sort of thing. The same with your eaves troughs. You can have your eaves troughs full of pine needles and leaves and branches and things of that nature. If you put flammable plants right next to the home, I'd think twice about it. It may look great, but they can mean the difference between you losing your home and not. So really be careful about those sorts of things. Not using wood mulch and bark chips in flower beds.
Right.
Unfortunately, people in Fort McMurray, they were living next to a forest that was actually designed to burn. That's what that forest does. It burns. And to put these types of things on a property, you're basically welcoming fire right up to your doorstep. So anything you can think of to prevent ignition, keeping the grass greened up if you can, keeping patio furniture a little bit farther away from the home. We're talking about the first few meters of your home. Really. Yeah. That makes a really big difference.
What you're pointing to here, and what you said a moment ago, suggests to me that maybe in the future, part of the protocol when you're evacuating a community, because of the threat of a forest fire sweeping into the community or some other natural disaster, that maybe part of the protocol is, look, we pack up your stuff, get into your car, drive to another community, but before you go, do a quick tour around the house and the perimeter, the 2 or 3 meter perimeter around your house, and if there are some quick moves you can make to get rid of stuff that's flammable, do so. And I'm not sure the people of Fort McMurray would have had that information.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there are things that you should do long before that fire comes, and you're not going to move a woodshed out of the way anytime quick or that sort of thing. So there are the tougher things that should be done beforehand. But you're absolutely right. And there are checklists, actually, that exist out there. Institute for Business and Home Safety in the U.S. has one of these checklists that are last minute, run around the home and see what you can do. And, get that coconut husk welcome mat and throw it in the garage or throw it in your home. And, if there are some last minute things you can do, absolutely can make a really, really big difference between the home surviving and the home being lost.
All right, very interesting. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Glenn McGillivray, who's the Managing Director of the Institute for Catastrophic Loss Reduction.